Thank you for joining us on ERi-TV English News Broadcast, dear viewers, and do stay tuned as we bring on the latest updates from around the world and the country, live from our headquarters in Asmara. This is Heaven Johans, your news anchor for this session, inviting you to stay with us for our local and international news for today, Friday the 22nd of November 2024. We shall first begin with the major headlines. Minister Osman Saleh addresses Unilateral Coercive Measures Conference. Eritrean Community Festival in Qatar. Russia responds to Ukraine's recent attacks. And Nordic countries sign a new military cooperation agreement. In our domestic news, Mr. Osman Saleh, Minister of Foreign Affairs, addressed the first Unilateral Coercive Measures Conference held on the 21st of November in Geneva under the theme Sanctions, Business and Human Rights. In his virtual message, Minister Osman highlighted that the sanctions imposed on Eritrea by the United Nations Security Council in 2009 and 2011 were unjust, prejudiced and lacked substantive evidence to support allegations that Eritrea had engaged in actions endangering regional and global peace. Minister Osman emphasized that the unwarranted sanctions severely undermined Eritrea's ability to defend its sovereignty, particularly during the military occupation of its territories. The sanctions emboldened acts of aggression by the former Ethiopian regime, violating Eritrea's inherent right to self-defense as enshrined in the United Nations Charter. While sanctions were lifted nearly a decade later, in 2018, following the rapprochement between Eritrea and Ethiopia, Minister Osman noted that a new form of sanctions, heinous in nature and even more destructive in impact, has since been imposed on Eritrea. Minister Osman explained that these illegal sanctions have drastically limited Eritrea's opportunities for international cooperation and partnerships, increased the cost of accessing capital for commercial loans, deterred foreign investment, hindered job creation and economic growth, and restricted the import of essential equipment needed for development and social infrastructure. He also stressed that the effects of sanctions are not confined to the targeted nations alone. Neighboring countries, which often depend on cross-border trade and regional cooperation, also suffer significant repercussions. Minister Osman reaffirmed that Eritrea, together with its allies, calls for the immediate end of all unilateral coercive measures. He emphasized Eritrea's commitment to maintaining an open dialogue with all interested parties to forge constructive solutions addressing the profound injustices and hardships faced by affected nations. Eritrea remains steadfast in its dedication to a fair, respectful and cooperative international order that upholds sovereignty and justice for all. The 13th Eritrean Community Festival in Qatar commenced on the 20th of November with great patriotic fervor. The festival was officially inaugurated by Mr. Yosef Saik, Head of Organizational Affairs of the PFDJ. The opening ceremony was attended by members of the Eritrean community and representatives of the diplomatic community in Doha. The festival features cultural and artistic programs celebrating the unity and diversity of the Eritrean people. It also includes exhibitions and other activities highlighting the strong bond between Eritrean nationals and their homeland. The Department of Agriculture and Land in the Central Region, in collaboration with the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students Branch, organized a workshop on the 21st of November in Tzada Christian Berrikh Sabzon to promote youth participation in agricultural development. Mr. Major Mengistab, head of the Agriculture Office in the Sabzon, highlighted that the Ministry of Agriculture has launched a 5-year strategic plan from 2024 to 2028 to enhance agricultural initiatives through partnerships with key stakeholders. He underscored the pivotal role of the youth in implementing this strategic plan. The workshop featured presentations on soil and water conservation, seed development, and success stories of youth engaged in livestock development and fish farming. Mr. Samson Kifle, head of the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students branch in the region, stated that the workshop aimed to build the capacity and creativity of youth in agricultural development, enabling them to play an active role in advancing the national economy. Mr. Asrat Haile, head of agriculture and land in the region, in his turn stated that the workshop aligns with the broader goal of ensuring access to nutritious food for all. He noted that the event was organized in collaboration with various partners. Mr. Zerit Tawalda Burhan, managing director of the region, commended the youth as vanguards of development programs and called for their strengthened participation in implementing the Ministry of Agriculture's initiatives. This wraps up our domestic news for this session, dear viewers. Time for the international ones after the short break. Welcome back. The Russian military has launched a state-of-the-art intermediate-range ballistic missile against a Ukrainian target, President Vladimir Putin said in a public address yesterday. The strike was a response to Ukrainian attacks on military facilities located on internationally recognized Russian territory, the president stated. Kyiv's forces launched the strikes on Tuesday and Thursday using US-made ATA-CMS and HIMARS systems, as well as British-made Storm Shadow missiles. The president also said that Russia will publicly announce any future strikes against the Ukrainian targets involving the Oreshnik system to let civilians leave a potentially dangerous zone. A ballistic missile traveling at between 2.5 and 3 kilometers per second, or 10 times faster than the speed of sound, cannot be countered with any existing air defense systems, the Russian president said. Earlier, international media reported that Kyiv had received approval from Washington and London for the use of Western-made long-range systems for strikes deep into Russia. On our last news. Defense ministers from Denmark, Finland, Norway and Sweden, along with foreign ministry representatives from Iceland, signed a new military cooperation agreement in Copenhagen yesterday, as reported by Norwegian broadcaster NRK. The agreement was inked to streamline the deployment of military forces among the participating nations during times of peace, crisis and conflict. Norwegian Defense Minister Jon Erlid Gram said that Norway could receive and deploy allied forces across the region as quickly and effectively as possible if needed. It is speculated that the development of military transport corridors will boost the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's defense and deterrence capabilities. With this, we conclude our news for this session, dear viewers. Time for a quick recap of the major headlines. Minister Osman Saleh addresses unilateral coercive measures conference. Eritrean Community Festival in Qatar. Russia responds to Ukraine's recent attacks. And Nordic countries sign a new military cooperation agreement. This was The World on Friday with ERi-TV English news broadcast, dear viewers. Thank you for joining and have a good weekend.